If you've driven past Stephen King's house in Bangor lately, you may have noticed something interesting. A single red balloon is sitting in the front left window. Though not confirmed, many believe it could have something to do with the premiere of the new movie It, based on one of King's best-selling books. That movie is scheduled to be released on September 8th.
Today, a local family demanded answers face-to-face over what they say was a botched burial. The family claims a Northwest Atlanta cemetery moved the body of their loved one to make room for another gravesite. Channel 2's Audrey Washington shares new developments she learned after the cemetery director opened the vault.
The opening of this vault did nothing to calm the concerns of the Coleman family.
I think they're doing some burying on top of people.
Cynthia Coleman says she buried her father about 3 weeks ago here in the Tiger section of Lincoln Cemetery in Northwest Atlanta. She says on Sunday she was shocked to find an exposed vault at the site. She believes it's the same one that was used to lower her father's casket. Now she thinks the cemetery moved her dad without family consent.
He was right next to Mr. Curtis Sr., and now he's down next to one of my friends that was buried here. So how did that happen?
Brought my guys out here to take that lid off to show them that it's a brand new vault. That grave has never been disturbed.
The vice president of the Lincoln Family Group disputes the claim, saying the grave with the empty vault was opened for another funeral and that Mr. Coleman is buried nearby. The family isn't buying it, and on Monday they gave me this picture. They say the flowers mark where their father was buried. Still, the cemetery VP tells me the family is mistaken.
The picture clearly shows that Mr. Coleman's flowers were to the right in the middle of the grave.
My issue is I want to find out where he totally is. I wouldn't care if we got to dig him back up.
The family tells me they are willing to pay in order to have the casket exhumed. The head of the cemetery tells me he is willing to do whatever it takes just to prove that the body of Mr. Coleman is exactly where it's supposed to be. Meanwhile, family members say they can't rest until they know their loved one is truly at rest. You are convinced?
Yes, ma'am, I'm very convinced. Very convinced.
In Northwest Atlanta, Audrey Washington, Channel 2 Action News.
And Channel 2.
In the 1930s, this was the home of William Goodburn. Some suspect he ran a moonshine out of a mine out behind his house. That earned him the nickname Whiskey Bill. Today, though, that home looks nothing like it did. But even though the walls no longer exist here, something else does.
How haunted is this spot?
Oh, on 1 to 10, it's about 11.
Bill's body rests at this gravesite about 100 yards away from the home. Kelly Latham, Joe Stout, and Peter Wardlow are part of their own paranormal group called Boogeymen NV. They frequent this site often, which we'll only say is near Lockwood.
There was a black shadow figure, like part of his lower legs appeared to be actually underground. He's got a cowboy hat on, just holding his right arm up a little bit. It's almost like he has a bird on it.
Another image shows crosses.
Obviously there's no crosses here.
But they appeared right when this picture was taken. Pete describes an encounter when he left a voice recorder out overnight.
There's a message that wasn't very nice.
What was that message?
It was die, Pete, 3 times.
And that same message was also written with pebbles above the grave. Now, all of this happened at night, so the odds of us experiencing something were pretty low.
On this little digital point and shoot. Is that over?
That is the sound of metal clashing against metal, coming from the house below. And if you listen carefully, you can hear what sounds to be a man with a deep voice grumbling.
No more Seth.
No more sass.
Seth.
Another electronic voice phenomenon, or EVP, message was left. This came from the grave. And there's something else that happens here, too.
What is that? It like dropped out of her back.
A rock.
Rocks. They say it's a way for the ghosts to show their presence.
I felt it. I'm scared.
So if all of this happened to us during the day, what will happen at night?
Oh my God. Are you kidding me right now?
We'll have that tomorrow. Covering the story, Landon Miller, Channel 2 News.
しかし 撮影はダメだという。そこで隠しカメラで撮影することにした。
あの映像を見るとですね、おかしくなるっていう噂があるんですけど、ご存知ですか？あの映像には何か赤いものが映っているとネットとかでは噂になっているんですが、ご存知ですか？
お前にやるよ。
それはあの情報番組の続きの映像が入ったテープだった。
どうした？
あっちあっち。あれ誰かいる。